Tonight on Global TV News Prime, Senate passes Electoral Act Amendment Bill, rejects mandatory election transmission of results. In business, federal government discontinues road tax credits, insists project follow budget process. On the international scene, Ghana, Zambia signed visa-free travel agreement. And in sports, Taekwondo Federation unveils new calendar with grassroots focus. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276. And now the news in details. The Senate has passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 through third reading, but rejected proposals to make the electronic transmission of results mandatory. Instead, lawmakers retained the existing provisions allowing INEC to transmit results in a manner prescribed by the Commission, with Senate President Godswill Akpabio insisting electoral transmission already exists in the law. The chamber also amended timelines for notices of election and candidate submission, adjusted penalties for permanent voter cards trading, and set up a conference committee to harmonize the bill. In the meantime, the Senate Minority Caucus has dismissed reports that the National Assembly has scrapped electronic transmission of elections results from the ongoing Electoral Act amendment process. The caucus says the provision was not only retained, but clarified to remove ambiguities in the existing law. National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick has more.
The Minority Caucus of the Senate has insisted that electronic transmission of election results remains firmly part of the Electoral Amendments Bill currently before the National Assembly. Addressing journalists at the National Assembly, Senate Minority Leader Senator Eyinaya Abaribe dismissed claims suggesting that lawmakers voted against electronic transmission of results. He explained that the Senate merely refined the language of the provision, replacing what he described as the vague term transfer used in the 2022 Electoral Act with a clearer and more explicit reference to electronic transmission.
Today, the Senate did not, I repeat, did not pass transfer of results, which was in the 2022 Act, is transmission of results. Is transmission of results.
Senator Abaribe further disclosed that an ad hoc committee was constituted to review the electoral reform report before lawmakers resolved contentious issues during a closed executive session. He also clarified that the harmonization between the Senate and the House of Representatives versions of the bill is yet to be completed, noting that the Senate must first formally adopt its votes and proceedings before the conference committee can fully commence work.
Our session, plenary session yesterday, we adjourned, but did not come back to pass the votes and proceedings. And that is our rule, and you all who are here, you know it. The Harmonization Committee cannot meet because the document that we use to go to the harmonization is the document passed by us and ratified by the votes and proceedings. So there's still one more step left by the Senate to take.
The Senate had earlier set up a conference committee to reconcile differences between its version of the Electoral Amendments Bill and that passed by the House of Representatives. From the National Assembly, Anita Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
Now, as preparations gather momentum for the 2027 general election, The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has expanded Nigeria's political landscape with the registration of 2 new political parties. It, however, expresses concern over deepening leadership crisis within several existing political parties. Our correspondent Samuel Odi reports.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has approved the registration of 2 new political parties, the Democratic Leadership Alliance and Nigerian Democratic Congress, ahead of the 2027 general election. The announcement was made in Abuja during INEC's first consultative meeting with political parties for the year, increasing the number of registered political parties in Nigeria to 21. INEC Chairman Professor Amopitan San explained that while the DLA met all constitutional and regulatory requirements, the NDC was registered in compliance with a ruling of the Federal High Court.
After due consideration, only the Democratic Leadership Alliance was found to have complied fully with the requirement of the law.
The chairman noted that many of the disputes end up in court, diverting INEC from its core responsibility of voters' education and election management. The INEC chairman also raised concerns over declining voters' turnout, revealing that participation in the presidential elections has dropped sharply over the years from over 53% in 2011 to just 26.7% in 2023 general election. He stressed that technology alone cannot fix voters' apathy, urging political stakeholders to rebuild public trust in democratic process.
A credible register of voters remains the bedrock of free, fair, and transparent elections. No electoral process can command public confidence without trust in the integrity of its voters' register.
Responding, the national chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Dr. Yusuf Danlata, urged INEC to remain neutral and renewed calls for wider-ranging electoral reforms. He also advocated mandatory real-time transmission of results and conduct of election on the same day to reduce cost and voters' fatigue.
INEC has submitted it for real-time transmission of electoral results. Citizens expect an improved electoral framework that will restore trust and confidence in the democratic system, one in which every vote counts and the people's mandate is respected.
Meanwhile, INEC assured Nigerians of its readiness for upcoming elections, including the FCTA Area Council elections on February the 21st, 2026, as well as the Ekiti and Osun State governorship elections scheduled for June and August 2026, respectively. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
Still talking election matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has recognized the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike-backed National Caretaker Committee of the People's Democratic Party, led by Abdurrahman Mohammed. The duo of Mohammed and the acting National Secretary Samuel Anyao are part of party leaders attending the first quarterly meeting between the Commission and political party leaders. The meeting was meant for only national chairmen and national secretaries of all registered parties recognized by the Commission. The Anambra State House of Assembly has passed a bill seeking to establish the Anambra State Public Complaints, Financial Crimes and Anti-Corruption Commission into law. The passage followed a resolution adopted during plenary after lawmakers considered amendments made at the Committee of the Whole stage. The majority leader of the House, Ikenna Ofodeme, moved the motion for the third reading of the bill, which was seconded by Deputy Minority Leader Noble Igwe. Presiding over the plenary, the Speaker of the House, Somtochukwu Udeze, commended the Joint Committee for its diligence in fine-tuning the bill before its passage. Nigeria and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have moved to deepen their diplomatic ties and overhaul pilgrimage administration following a high-level meeting between Nigeria Foreign Minister Yusuf Mitamatuga and the Saudi Arabian Minister of Hajj and Umrah. Ramzi Enoch Agbo reports.
During the engagement in Abuja, Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister emphasized the visit reflects the enduring bonds of friendship and brotherhood between the two nations, rooted in shared faith and mutual respect, while conveying President Bola Tinubu's message to King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The minister reaffirms Nigeria's intention to strengthen bilateral cooperation with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He also appreciated the Saudi government for its recent infrastructure investment and visionary reforms designed to enhance the safety and experience of global pilgrims.
Nigeria and Saudi Arabia share a relationship deeply rooted in creed, mutual respect, and strong people-to-people ties. Over the decades, this relationship has continued to flourish across political, economic, cultural, and spiritual dimensions. Cooperation in the administration of Hajj and Umrah remains one of the most significant pillars of this partnership, reflecting our collective responsibility to safeguard the welfare, dignity, and spiritual fulfillment of pilgrims.
Yusuf Tuga, Foreign Affairs Minister. The Minister of Hajj and Umrah of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Tafiq Al-Rabia, reaffirmed the kingdom's commitment to institutional cooperation with Nigeria. This meeting also find ways to address consular challenges to combat. The meeting also find ways to address consular challenges to combat recurring issues like Umrah visas and overstay by Nigerian pilgrims, among others.
We also look forward to the continued joint coordination in preparation for the Hajj season of 1447 Hijri, in a manner that enhances operational readiness, contributes to the smooth flow of procedures, and ensures the safety of pilgrims and the quality of services provided to them.
Minister of Hajj. Both parties conveyed strong optimism that the discussion would lead to tangible results and further strengthen the already strong ties between Nigeria and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Ramsey Enoch Agbo, Global Television News.
The Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has assured the judiciary of the federal government's resolve to strengthen the three arms of government as he inspected ongoing construction of court buildings and residential quarters for judges in Abuja. Kabir Hassan reports.
The inspection tour took the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to several judicial infrastructure projects across Abuja. This includes the construction of official residence for the President of Court of Appeal, Chief Judges, Judges of the National Industrial Court, the Federal High Court, and the FCT High Court. The Minister also inspected the ongoing construction of the Court of Appeal Abuja Division, as well as Judges' residential quarters, designed to provide a secure and dignified living environment for members of the bench. He described the project as part of the initiative to support the judiciary, noting that adequate infrastructure is critical to strengthen the independence and efficiency of the court.
One of the directives of such government to the FCT and FCDA is to see how we can reduce the accommodation burden as it affects the judiciary. Also talk about the welfare and the environment where the state to do their work is very key. Luckily for us, we were just there this morning and saw that the work is almost 85–90% ready. We believe by the grace of God, with the speed they are going, we believe by June, July, they will have handed over these projects for Mr. President to hand over to the judiciary.
According to the minister, the projects are being executed in line with Abuja Master Plan and are expected to be completed by June or July 2026. He stressed that the initiative aligns with President Bola Tinubu's agenda of reforming institutions and improving working conditions for critical arms of government, including the judiciary. Providing befitting court complexes and residential accommodation for judges, according to the minister, will enhance service delivery, improve morale, and reinforce public confidence in justice system. The project formed part of broader effort by the Federal Capital Territory Administration to modernize public infrastructure and strengthen government institutions within the nation's capital. Kabir Hassan, reporting for Global TV News.
And now to the agri sector, where the federal government says it is strengthening the implementation of the National Agricultural Growth Scheme an agro-pocket as part of urgent measures to achieve food security and sustainable development across the country. This renewed push is being driven through a nationwide partnership with the Bank of Agriculture covering all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Anita Patrick reports.
At a two-day stakeholders review and preparatory workshop in Nasarawa State, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Abdullahi, said the Tinubu administration has declared an emergency on food and nutrition security to boost production, improve affordability, and stabilize prices. He explained that the NAFSAP program focuses on 6 staple crops: rice, wheat, maize, sorghum, soybean, and cassava, designed to bridge Nigeria's food supply gap. According to the minister, the scheme has recorded over 2.5 million metric tons of food produce across 4 farming seasons.
We have been able to achieve the following: a total of 2,536,184 metric tons of various produce were produced across these 4 seasons, with an estimated value of 2,312,746,400,000.
The workshop, organized by the NAFSAP Project Secretariat in collaboration with the Bank of Agriculture, is reviewing past implementation challenges while finalizing a modified framework anchored on transparency, technology, and stakeholder collaboration. The National Project Coordinator of NAFSAP, Ishaku Buba, says plans are also underway to roll out NAS 2.0 and a GCA supported program.
The overall implementation of the previous programs was largely satisfactory and demonstrated the program's continued relevance in supporting domestic production. However, operational and governance challenges.
The permanent secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Marcus Ogumbi, represented by the Director of Planning and Policy Coordination, Ibrahim Tanimo, noted that the new ICT-driven platform will link farmers, financial institutions, extension officers, and input providers for better coordination and accountability.
Aside supporting farmers with critical farm inputs for the production of priority crops, we will also institutionalize support for better performances and sustainability, particularly in areas of stable food production.
With expanded coverage, improved financing, and institutional support, the federal government says the strengthened NAFSAP framework will remain a key driver of sustainable food production and economic sustainability in Nigeria. Anita Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Still on agriculture, the federal government has begun distributing agro-processing and post-harvest equipment to farmers and agribusinesses group in Nasarawa State to boost value addition and cut food losses. Agric Minister Abubakar Kari says the intervention, supported by the IFAD, targets rice and cassava farmers with a focus on empowering women and youth and improving productivity and rural jobs. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule also says the initiative aligns with the Renewed Hope agenda as beneficiaries pledge to maintain the equipment to expand output and market access. Senior pastor of Dunamis International Gospel Church, Dr. Paul Enenche, has called on leaders at all levels of government to show greater responsibility, compassion, and commitment to the welfare and safety of Nigerians, warning that the nation is at a critical crossroads. Dr. Enenche made the call on arrival in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, where he is leading a 2-day healing and deliverance crusade with the theme, Mercy of God. Felicity Ndere has details.
Addressing journalists, the cleric expressed deep concern over the rising wave of insecurity and mounting socio-economic challenges across the country, describing the situation as grave and demanding urgent action. He noted that Nigeria is facing a defining moment, stressing that beyond policy responses, moral leadership and compassion for human lives must be restored at the highest level of authority. Dr. Enenche emphasized that without responsible leadership and sincere concern for the people, the nation risks further instability, adding that divine mercy remains critical to averting deeper crises.
and we do our best to do the work of our hands. We look up to God and trust Him for His intervention. And let the leadership of our nation and the leadership of at all levels take responsibility and have a heart for human beings.
He urged Nigerians to turn to prayers and seek God's intervention, encouraging citizens not to lose hope, but to look beyond human solution and place their trust in God.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime. News Prime continues after this weather forecast plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Glad to have you join us. Daytime temperatures across the northern region are expected to remain very high, with maximum values ranging between 38 and 42 degrees Celsius. Residents are strongly advised to avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight, stay hydrated, and take necessary precautions. Thermal discomfort will also continue, particularly across the north-central cities. For Friday, mostly sunny skies will prevail across the northern parts of the country. Further south, increased moisture content combined with onshore wind flow from the ocean will enhance weather activity. This is expected to result in cloud buildup and increased convective activity, especially along the coastal areas and the inland cities of the south. Additionally, isolated thunderstorms may develop over parts of the central region later in the day. And that's the weather forecast for Friday. I'm Safia Sayunusa. Thank you for watching.
In business, the federal government has discontinued the use of corporate tax credits to fund road infrastructure, insisting that such projects must go through the proper appropriation process. The disclosure was made by Zach Adedeji, Executive Chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service, during a joint sitting of the editorial board. The decision signals a shift from the previous Road Infrastructure Development and Refurbishment Investment Tax Credit Scheme, which allowed major firms to fund federal road projects using tax credits. Meanwhile, the federal government has urged international oil companies operating in Nigeria to take concrete steps to ramp up crude oil production following the country's ambitious target of reaching 2.5 million barrels per day by 2027. Speaking at the close of a panel session at the ongoing 2026 Nigeria International Energy Summit, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Heineken Lokbobiri, said the government had created an enabling environment for oil companies to operate effectively. Lokbobiri stressed that the performance of the petroleum industry is fundamentally tied to the success of upstream operations, noting that the Nigerian economy remains largely dependent on foreign exchange earnings from the sector. The Naira recorded a modest appreciation as the official forex market in mid-week trading, extending a gradual recovery trend aimed at improving sentiment around Nigeria's macroeconomic outlook. This is according to official market data from the Central Bank of Nigeria's website. The strengthening reflects increased stability in official markets pricing, supported by sustained foreign exchange reserves level, policy tightening, and renewed investor confidence, driven by recent credit rating actions. And now to the forums in where Ghana and Zambia have agreed to abolish visa requirements for each other's citizens, marking a major step towards closer regional integration and easier cross-border movement. The deal was confirmed by Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Ablakwa during President John Mahama's official visit to Zambia. The three-day trip is focused on expanding diplomatic engagement, strengthening economic partnerships, and fostering stronger ties between the population of both countries. The United States and Iran have agreed to hold talks in Oman on Friday, despite sharp disagreements over the scope of the negotiations. Washington insists discussions must include Iran's missile program and regional activities, while Tehran says talks should focus solely on nuclear issues. The talks come amid heightened regional tensions and warning from United States President Donald Trump that military action remains an option. Still on international scene, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says he regrets naming Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States following fresh allegations about the disgraced envoy's close ties to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The UK leader is set to release documents linked to the appointment of former peer Madison 72, one of numerous prominent figures embarrassed by revelations of ties to the late United States financier. Zara Unasir reports.
Starmer has accused the former minister and EU Trade Commissioner of failing time and time again to reveal the full extent of his relationship with Epstein during betting for the Washington role last year. Starmer's government agreed to submit to the Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee all documents in connection to the appointment, following growing anger from the opposition and some members of Starmer's All Labour Party.
But I also want to say this. In this country, we will not look away. We will not shrug our shoulders. And we will not allow the powerful to treat justice as optional. We will pursue the truth. We will uphold the integrity of public life. And we will do everything within our power and in the interests of justice to ensure accountability is delivered.
The Prime Minister's judgment is under scrutiny following new allegations that Mandelson had passed confidential and potentially market-sensitive information to Epstein nearly 2 decades ago. UK police have announced they are probing the claims, which emerged from email exchanges between Mandelson and Epstein that revealed their warm relations and financial dealings, as well as private photos. Zahra Unasir, reporting for Global TV.
And now to the exciting world of sport. The Nigeria Taekwondo Federation has unveiled its 2026 calendar of activities with emphasis on grassroots development and talent discovery. The calendar was presented and approved at the Federation's board meeting held at the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. In the communique, the board resolved that zones should be encouraged to organize more tournaments to scout for young athletes. It was also agreed that zonal national camps be held to select players for the national camp and discover talents. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Cricket Federation has rolled out plans for 2 of its major events in 2026, cutting across women's cricket and grassroots development. The tournament, which began as a bilateral series with Rwanda, was not held last year due to the busy calendar of the Federation. After a 1-year break, attention will turn to the women's national team, as the Green Female Yellows will regroup for the Women's T20I in March. Ahead of this year's tournament, the body has reaffirmed its readiness to use the competition as a high-level performance pathway to the team. Now, a total of 32 Nigerian athletes, 16 female and 16 male, will commence a 6-week camping exercise in Delta State as preparations intensify for the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. The athletes drawn from track and field events, including sprint, relays, jumps and throws, arrived at the camp on Saturday for the first phase of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria's build-up program. The camping exercise is being held by a 6-man technical crew led by Athletics Federation of Nigeria's head coach, Solomon Aliyu, who will oversee the training session and performance evaluation throughout the period. That's it on News Prime. Here's a quick reminder of our top stories. On Global TV News Prime, the Senate has passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 through 3rd reading, but rejected proposals to make electronic transmission of results mandatory. In business, the federal government has discontinued the use of corporate tax credits to fund road construction, insisting that such projects must go through the proper appropriation process. On the foreign scene, we brought to you that Ghana and Zambia have agreed to abolish visa requirements for each other's citizens, marking a major step towards closer regional integration and easier border movement. In sports, the Nigeria Taekwondo Federation has unveiled its 2026 calendar of activities with emphasis on grassroots development and talent discovery. That's it on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms, now showing on your screen, using our Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.